Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful framework for mastering your thoughts, and it's all based on the teachings of Pastor Chris Oyakhilome. And it's this fascinating way of looking at how the pictures you create in your own mind can literally, fundamentally shape the world you experience.
All right, so let's just jump right in with this. It's a really powerful claim. The whole idea here is that a lot of us are living in a prison that we've actually built for ourselves. We're not trapped by our circumstances, but by the very way we think.
So, that's the big question, right? What's locking the door, and how do we get the key? In this explainer, we're going to walk through it all. First, we'll look at the problem, what it means to be a prisoner of thought. Then, we'll get into the mechanics of how thoughts actually work in this system. And finally, we'll unpack the three-part spiritual solution for breaking free.
Okay, so first things first, let's really dig into what it even means to be stuck in this bondage of the mind.
The main idea is this: your world on the outside, your health, your job, your relationships, it's basically just a mirror. It's reflecting the character of your mind. Or, to put it like the source does, your life is the character of your mind.
So what do these prisons actually feel like in real life? Well, they're built from the stories we tell ourselves, right? It could be a prison of the past where you're constantly thinking, well, I've tried this before and it failed, so it's just going to fail again. Or it could be old labels you've stuck on yourself like, oh, I'm just not a bold person. It could even be a fear of the unknown, just being held captive by what other people might think or do.
And this is really the key takeaway here. If your own thinking is what builds the prison, well, then changing your thinking is the only way to get out. According to this framework, you just can't have lasting external change without making that internal shift first.
Okay, but how do you change your thinking if you don't even know what a thought really is? Well, the source material gives us a super specific definition, and it's pretty crucial for this whole thing.
See, a thought isn't just some random image floating through your head. It's a mental picture that you personally give meaning to. And that meaning is either constructive, it's building you up, or it's destructive, and it's tearing you down. It's kind of like the visualization techniques you see athletes use to mentally rehearse winning a race before it even starts.
This right here, this is a perfect way to see the difference. Your mind might just passively see a nice car. That's just a mental picture, no big deal. But the moment you actively attach a destructive meaning to it, like, I'll never be able to afford that, that's when that picture becomes a powerful limiting thought.
All right, so we've talked about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. The source lays out these three incredible spiritual principles that are basically the keys to taking back control of your thoughts and in turn, your entire life.
And here they are: love, hope, and faith. Now, these come from the Bible, specifically 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and they're really positioned as the whole toolkit for transformation. So let's break them down one by one.
So we start with love, and this is the bedrock for everything else. It's not just a feeling. It's about having this absolute, rock-solid confidence that God personally loves you. The argument is that this confidence is what makes you believe that a better future is even possible for you in the first place.
Next up is hope. And listen, in this framework, hope is not just wishful thinking, okay? It's an active practice. It's you intentionally creating positive mental pictures, these expected thoughts of the future you actually want. It's about deliberately seeing success and victory in your mind's eye.
And that leads us right into the third and most active principle of them all: faith. So if hope is about seeing that awesome future in your mind, faith is like the engine that actually gets you there. It brings that future into the here and now. But to really get how it works, we have to look at the difference between faith and something more passive, like trust.
Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. The source makes this huge distinction between just trusting God and actively living by faith. And according to this teaching, they are two completely different things. Okay, so check this out. Trust, that's more of a passive confidence. It's kind of like saying, you know what, no matter what happens, I know it'll all be okay in the end. But faith, that is an active, vocal declaration that takes charge of the situation right now. It doesn't just wait for a good outcome, it actually commands it. Think of it this way: trust is hoping you get the job. Faith is going out and buying your work clothes before you even get the offer, because you've declared it's already yours.
And this right here, this is the engine of faith. It's this principle of calling those things which be not as though they were. Basically, you speak about the reality you want as if it's already here. You declare it into being before you can even see it with your own eyes. And the story of Abraham is the perfect example of this in action. I mean, think about it. The guy had no kids, and his name, Abram, literally meant assumed father. Then God comes along and changes his name to Abram, father of many nations, basically telling him, start talking like the man you're going to be. Every single time he introduced himself, he was exercising faith, and eventually the physical world around him had to catch up to what he was declaring.
So, what does all this boil down to? It's this. You're not meant to be a passenger in your own life. You are supposed to be an active creator, using the power of your thoughts and your words, all supercharged by faith.
And this is how it all connects. Faith is the bridge, It's what gives real substance, real weight to those positive pictures you're holding on to with hope. It takes that mental image of the future you want and makes it your tangible, present reality.
And the whole point of all this, the ultimate goal, is to completely shift you from being a passive victim of your circumstances to being the one who's deliberately creating a life of victory. The result, as the source puts it, is a life of non-stop progress, a life that is upward and forward only. And so, that really leaves us with this final thought. If it's true, if your life is a direct reflection of what's going on in your mind, then the power to change everything is already inside you. The only question left is, what kind of reality are you going to choose to think into existence? That's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in.